In the stillness of this moment, as if the air itself paused to listen, I felt something shift deep within the unseen, something quiet yet undeniable, something that wrapped itself around my spirit like a whisper with weight. There was no thunder, no flash, no dramatic crashing of heaven against earth, only a sacred interruption, a gentle yet urgent pull that made everything inside me become still. It was as though time bent inward, slowed, and asked me to listen. The room around me had not changed, yet something within me had awakened, stirred by a presence I could not see but could feel with more clarity than my own breath. I did not choose this moment. It chose me. It arrived like a divine appointment, written long before I understood the concept of destiny, a moment crafted in eternal places, breathed into my timeline with holy precision. I didn't hear a voice with my ears, yet something spoke beyond sound. Something pressed softly but unmistakably upon my heart, saying, "Pause." And without fully knowing why, I paused. Without understanding what was happening, I felt the atmosphere of my own spirit shifting, stretching, expanding, as if preparing to hold something heavier, holier, deeper than anything I had carried before. The familiar thoughts began to fade. The noise within me began to quiet, and in that deepening silence, I felt the presence of God surrounding me like warm light settling into every hidden place. It was in that sacred quiet that I understood. I was not here by accident. I had not stumbled into this moment by curiosity or coincidence. I had been summoned, drawn, called into a divine encounter that had been waiting for me since before my days were numbered. The weight I felt in my chest was not anxiety, it was alignment. The stirring that fluttered inside me was not confusion, it was awakening. The trembling beneath my breath was not fear, it was recognition. The ancient recognition of creation responding to its creator. Every part of me leaned inward, like my spirit knew long before my mind did that heaven was about to speak. There was a holy urgency, not frantic, not frightening, only firm. Firm enough to tell me this was not a moment to scroll past, not a message to skim, not a whisper to treat casually. This was sacred. This was personal. This was intentional. This was God drawing near. And as his nearness settled upon me, I felt memories surface. Memories of nights when I woke with no reason, of moments when my chest tightened without cause, of mornings when I sensed something shifting but couldn't name it. I remembered those subtle interruptions, the inexplicable chills, the sudden heaviness in the air that felt like more than emotion. And in this moment of divine stillness, I understood. It had all been preparation. It had been the Father reaching toward me, brushing eternity against the edges of my humanity, waking something within me that had slept under the weight of my worries. I felt the gentle trembling inside my soul, the same trembling I had tried to ignore in the past, the same trembling I had misinterpreted as weakness or stress. But now in this moment, it was clear. It was not weakness, but witness, not stress, but signaling. It was God, the God who formed galaxies with his breath and shaped my heart with his hands, tugging on the deepest threads of my being, calling me into a conversation that had waited through years of silence, confusion, doubt, and delay. A conversation woven into my destiny long before I learned to pray. The air felt thick with purpose, with holiness, with the quiet certainty that something eternal was about to unfold. It was not loud, yet it filled the entire atmosphere. It did not shout, yet it took precedence over every other thought. It was soft, but it carried the weight of thunder. In this moment, I knew God was not only near, he was speaking, and so I let my heart breathe, let my thoughts slow, let my spirit open like a flower responding to light. I felt the room fade, the world dim, the weight of life fall away as his presence wrapped himself around me like a warm mantle. I felt seen, not with human eyes, but with divine intimacy. I felt known, one in ways deeper than language. And I realized that every unanswered question, every moment of confusion, every trembling night had been leading me right here, to this sacred intersection between what I feared and what he promised. There was a holiness in the silence, a sacredness in the stillness, a divine electricity humming beneath the ordinary air. And then slowly, gently, like light pouring into a darkened valley, understanding arrived. This moment had been carved into my life before my life even began. It had waited through my flaws, through my wanderings, through my doubts, through the days I felt broken and the nights I felt forgotten. It had waited because God had waited. He had waited for the exact second my spirit would be ready to receive what he had longed to give. In that realization, tears pressed at the corners of my eyes. Not of sadness, but of recognition. Recognition of a father who had never left. Recognition of a presence that had been guiding me even in the silence. Recognition of a love that had been holding me when I felt most alone. And as I breathed in that holy moment, I understood with a clarity deeper than thought. God was here. God was speaking. God was drawing me into something that would change the shape of my future. I felt the gravity of his nearness, the kind of nearness that breaks chains, softens hearts, and brings forgotten dreams back to life. The kind of nearness that awakens destiny, the kind of nearness that calls you by name and expects you to answer. And I knew whatever he was about to reveal would not be small. It would not be casual. It would not be optional. It would be divine. It would be intentional. It would be transformative. And so I inhaled deeply, my heart steadying in the warmth of his presence, and whispered inwardly the only word my spirit could form. Yes. Yes to the moment. Yes to the message. Yes to the movement. Yes to what he was about to release into the quiet rooms of my soul. This was not simply the beginning of a prayer. This was the beginning of a holy encounter, the opening of a divine dialogue, the turning of a page heaven had written long ago. And as the weight of his presence settled deeper, gently yet powerfully, I knew something profound had begun. As the weight of his presence deepened around me, something inside me shifted even further, as though the very walls of my spirit began expanding to make room for what was unfolding. It wasn't loud, yet it carried the gravity of 1,000 thunders. It wasn't forceful, yet it felt irresistible. A pull, a drawing, a holy gravity pulling the deepest parts of me into alignment with something I couldn't see but could unmistakably sense. The atmosphere felt charged, like the air before a coming storm. Except this was not a storm of destruction, but a storm of awakening, a storm of revelation, a storm of divine movement. I felt the tremble again, that soft vibration pulsing somewhere between my ribs and my breath, that subtle quiver that had visited me so many times before. I used to brush it off, ignore it, numb it with distractions, convince myself it was just emotion or exhaustion. But now in this sacred nearness, the truth was clear. It was him. It had always been him. Every tremor, every shift, every unexplainable weight pressing against my awareness. Each one had been a signal, a whisper, a divine Morse code tapping against the walls of my heart, calling me deeper, calling me nearer, calling me into a realm my mind could not interpret but my soul always recognized. And now, in this exact moment, the signals converged. The trembling intensified, not in fear but in fullness. It was as though the veil between the natural and the eternal grew thin, almost transparent, allowing the eternal breath of God to seep into my moments, saturating them with clarity I had long prayed for, but never fully understood. My heart thudded softly, not in panic, but in anticipation, beating like a drum, calling a scattered army back into formation. The air felt alive, almost warm with his closeness. It was then that I realized something profound. Every ache I had ever felt had been expansion. Every sigh I thought was exhaustion had actually been preparation. Every heaviness I thought was weakness was, in truth, the weight of glory pressing its way toward me long before I was ready to hold it. The restless nights, the sudden awakenings, the chills that rose across my skin when no one was speaking, it was all recognition. Recognition of the one who formed me. Recognition of the divine rhythm that my spirit had been trying to sync with for years. Recognition of the Father drawing near. I let my breath fall slow and deep, letting his nearness fill the hollow spaces inside me. Something within me surrendered without words, like an inner posture bending before a king I could not see yet knew intimately. A warmth spread through my chest, a warmth that carried memory, meaning, and movement. It was familiar and foreign all at once, like remembering a song I had heard in another lifetime. My soul leaned in instinctively, as though stepping into a room I had been kept from for far too long. And the room, oh, it wasn't a physical space. It was a spiritual chamber, a sanctuary carved not of stone, but of surrender. A place where my spirit finally met the voice that had been calling me through every storm, every silence, every sleepless night. It was holy, heavy, alive. I felt something like light passing through the dark corridors of my soul, illuminating corners I had forgotten about. Corners filled with questions, corners filled with past disappointments, corners still tender from old wounds. And yet, the light didn't expose to shame. It exposed to heal. It didn't come to judge. It came to breathe. My spirit unfurled in the presence, opening layer by layer like petals responding to soft sunlight. I felt tears pressing upward, not from pain, but from recognition. Deep recognition of a God who had not abandoned me in the shadows, a God who had walked with me in every silent space, a God who had never once let go, even when I felt like slipping through my own fingers. Memories rose and fell like waves, moments I couldn't explain, the weight I carried without language, the times I felt something shifting but ignored it because it didn't fit my logic. Moments of sudden stillness, moments of holy discomfort, moments when the world grew strangely quiet, just long enough for me to feel the tug in my heart. All of it, every second, orchestrated. It had never been random. It had never been accidental. Heaven had been whispering to me in 1,000 subtle ways, long before I recognized the sound. My chest tightened with a holy ache, as though I was standing on the edge of revelation. The kind of revelation that doesn't just inform, it transforms. The kind that rewrites stories, redirects path, resets the soul. The kind that doesn't ask you to understand, only to surrender. And surrender began to rise within me like a tide. Not forced, not demanded, but invited. Invited by the gentleness of a father whose voice carried both thunder and tenderness. Invited by a love so precise it met me exactly where my doubts lived. Invited by a presence so near I could almost feel it resting against my heartbeat. I felt my spirit whisper almost inaudibly, "I'm listening." And everything inside me echoed back. Finally, the stirring grew, like a holy wind brushing the chambers of my soul. It was as though unseen wings hovered near, brushing the edges of my awareness, sending ripples through the stillness. I felt surrounded, not by pressure, but by presence. A presence that knew me, a presence that had followed me through every valley and every hidden cry, a presence that had waited patiently for me to quiet down long enough to finally hear. The weight of his love settled deeper, not crushing but anchoring, not heavy with burden, but heavy with belonging. And the deeper it settled, the clearer it became. This moment was not random. This message was not vague. This stirring was not emotional residue, it was divine alignment. Heaven was touching earth. Eternity was brushing against my temporary. God was speaking, not through signs or symbols, but through the trembling pulse of my own spirit. And I knew He was about to reveal something I had waited years to understand, something I had sensed but never fully seen, something that would shift the gravity of my entire future. The air thickened with the holiness of anticipation. My spirit leaned farther, stretching toward the voice I could not yet hear but already recognized. Every fiber of me listened, and as the silence deepened, the presence pressed closer, and the trembling steadied into a holy rhythm, I knew with absolute clarity. This was God. This was His moment. This was the opening of revelation. And my spirit, awakened, aligned, expanded, prepared to receive what would come next. The atmosphere inside me shifted again, gently at first, like a soft wind brushing through tall grass, then deeper, heavier, fuller, as if something vast was approaching, not from outside, but from within. It felt like the deep swell of the ocean, beginning to rise miles before anyone sees the wave. A quiet expansion, a holy pressure, a stirring that carried purpose in every unseen movement. And in that stillness, I realized something profound. I was not just sensing God, I was being prepared by Him. The trembling in my spirit deepened, no longer a fleeting sensation, but a steady pulse, a rhythm woven between my breath and my heartbeat. It was subtle, yet unmistakably divine, a vibration of eternity echoing through the fragile corridors of humanity. Every breath felt heavier with meaning. Every exhale felt like it carried years of unspoken longing. My entire being felt tuned, aligned, awakened like an instrument long forgotten, suddenly touched by the hands of its composer. A warmth settled over my shoulders, not like heat, but like comfort, like the gentle weight of a blanket placed over someone who has been cold for too long. It rested on me with a tenderness that made something in my chest loosen. The tightness, the ache, the pressure I had been carrying quietly for years. It all softened. It all eased. And in that softness, revelation began to rise. I remembered the countless moments when I felt something stirring beneath the surface of my life. Moments when I sensed a shift without knowing why. Moments when the world around me felt familiar, but my spirit felt foreign, as though my soul was living in a place my body hadn't reached yet. Those moments that made no sense at the time now clicked into formation, like pieces of a puzzle finally touched by light. Those nights I woke unexpectedly, those sudden chills, those heavy pauses that interrupted my thoughts for no reason. They had all been signals. They had all been whispers. They had all been divine invitations hidden inside ordinary seconds. And the truth settled gently, like dust in a sunbeam. I had not been confused. I had been called. The ache I labeled as restlessness had been expansion. The pressure I assumed was anxiety had been an awareness of heaven drawing near. The trembling I tried to ignore had been the first notes of a heavenly announcement preparing my spirit to receive revelation. I let myself breathe into that truth, slowly, deeply, as if inhaling something that had been waiting ages to be received. And the more I breathed, the clearer it became. God had not interrupted my life out of urgency alone. He had interrupted it out of love. A love so deep it would rather disrupt my comfort than allow me to continue drifting away from the alignment He designed for me before I even knew my own name. The silence around me thickened, wrapped not in emptiness, but in meaning. It was a silence that held something, a silence that felt pregnant with purpose. It was not the silence of absence. It was the silence before revelation, the silence before the curtain is pulled back, the silence before God speaks a word that reshapes everything. And then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, I felt something rise from deep within me, not emotion, not thought, not imagination, but recognition. the ancient recognition of a soul meeting the one who created it. My spirit leaned toward it instinctively, the way flowers lean toward the sun. I felt it in my ribs, in my breath, in the quiet spaces between my thoughts, the holy tremble, the divine thrum, the unmistakable nearness of God preparing to speak. I didn't hear words yet, but I felt movement, something approaching, something forming, something rising like a tide inside the unseen realm. The presence grew thicker, wrapping my spirit in a warmth that made my knees want to bend, my heart want to open, my soul want to lay itself bare before Him. It was not a demand. It was an invitation, a pull toward surrender, a call toward depth, a drawing towards something greater than I had ever understood. I realized then that this was not simply a message. It was a visitation, a divine encounter written into the blueprint of my life before my life began. And as the presence pressed closer, as the atmosphere grew heavy with holiness, I felt something inside me open, a door within the soul, unseen yet unmistakably real. A door that had been closed by fear, locked by confusion, guarded by pain. But now, under the gentleness of His nearness, it opened. Memories of pain rose to the surface. Moments I had buried, moments I had explained away, moments where I felt alone, unseen, forgotten. But instead of fear, I felt compassion. Not my compassion, His. Like a warm hand reaching into the coldest rooms of my heart. It didn't condemn, it comforted. It didn't accuse, it embraced. Every wound that surfaced was met with warmth. Every ache was met with presence. Every fracture was met with healing. I exhaled slowly, letting the weight of years slip from my shoulders. The divine tremble within me steadied again, shifting from a quiver of anticipation into a rhythm of readiness. I didn't feel fear, I felt alignment. I didn't feel confusion. I felt clarity in its earliest form, like the first light before sunrise. I didn't feel lost. I felt found. And as that awareness deepened, I sensed something else. A gathering. A holy gathering in the unseen realm. It felt as though heaven itself was leaning close, as though angels hovered near the edges of my reality, as though eternity was watching with anticipation. The presence around me grew brighter, thicker, more undeniable. There was no doubt left. Something sacred was about to be spoken. The air shifted once more, like the gentle inhale before a word is released. My heart steadied. My spirit opened. My mind grew still. Everything inside me leaned forward with reverence, knowing this was not a moment to miss or rush or brush aside. This was divine timing. This was sacred choreography. This was heaven aligning with earth in a single breath. I felt the presence gather strength, as though the voice of God was forming within the silence, preparing to break through the veil between my humanity and His divinity. And in that moment, that holy, breathless moment, I understood fully what I was about to hear would not simply inform me. It would transform me. It would shift the trajectory of my life. It would speak to the places no one else could reach. It would awaken what had slept, restore what had broken, ignite what had dimmed, and reveal what had been hidden. And as the presence pressed close enough for my spirit to tremble beneath its weight, I prepared myself to receive the voice of God. The presence pressed closer, not with force, but with fullness. The way dawn does not break the night violently, but gently overwhelms it until the darkness has no choice but to surrender. I felt that same surrender rising inside me. Not the surrender born from exhaustion, but the surrender born from recognition. Recognition that the one who formed me, the one who carried me through seasons when I couldn't carry myself, the one who whispered through the cracks of my brokenness, that same God was now drawing near enough to reshape the very atmosphere around my soul. The trembling in my spirit deepened again, but this time it settled differently. It no longer fluttered like uncertainty. It pulsed like purpose, a steady, weighty rhythm echoing down the corridors of my inner world, reminding me of every time I had felt this presence before, but failed to understand it. Those moments years ago when my breath caught unexpectedly, those nights when something stirred me awake and I felt watched over, those silent mornings when the world felt strangely heavy, as though someone holy stood just outside the veil. I never understood it. I never named it. I never noticed its pattern. But now, under the nearness of his presence, I finally recognized the truth. It had always been him. He had been there in the moments I thought were empty. He had been moving in the seasons I labeled stagnant. He had been whispering in the places I assumed were silent. And suddenly it all made sense. Every ache had been alignment. Every tension had been transition. Every interruption had been invitation. Heaven had been slowly, softly, steadily pulling me toward this very moment. A warmth rose again, this time spreading through my chest like the glow beneath embers before they reignite. It wasn't emotion, it was awakening. It wasn't excitement, it was divine anticipation stretching its wings. My breath deepened, as though I needed more space inside me to hold what was coming. My heart felt suspended between beats, hanging in a holy pause carved not by fear, but by reverence. The silence thickened, but not the kind of silence that feels empty. This was the silence that precedes revelation, a silence filled with motion, filled with meaning, filled with something forming in the unseen, waiting to make its way into the visible. I felt surrounded not by emptiness, but by expectancy, heaven's expectancy, as though all creation held its breath with me, waiting for the next movement of God's voice. A pressure, gentle yet undeniable, rested against my spirit. Not the pressure of burden, but the pressure of purpose, the kind a seed feels right before it breaks open to grow. I felt something inside me shifting, stretching, preparing, not for something small, but for something weighty, something ancient, something written long before my lifetime, something only heaven could deliver. My thoughts quieted completely. Not because I forced them to, but because his presence commanded the kind of attention that silenced everything else. Even the parts of me that usually doubted, questioned, resisted, even they grew still. I felt myself becoming transparent before him, not exposed but open, as though the walls I had built unknowingly across the years were dissolving under the weight of his nearness. And then, from deep within the silence, something began to rise. Not a word yet, not a sentence, not even a sound, but an impression, a holy gravity that settled into my spirit like a stone of fire glowing at the center of my soul. It pulsed once, twice, and then expanded, sending ripples through every hidden chamber inside me. The atmosphere shifted with such subtlety that if my spirit had not been fully awake, I might have missed it. But I felt it, unmistakable, undeniable. God was preparing to speak. The realization washed over me like warm rain, not frightening, not overwhelming, but deeply, deeply humbling. My breath trembled softly as I inhaled. My heart aligned itself with something ancient and eternal. My spirit leaned forward with a reverence I could feel in my bones. A stillness settled into me, the kind that only comes when the creator of the universe draws close enough to reshape the contours of a human soul. I felt layers within me peel back, layers of fear, layers of confusion, layers of disappointment, layers of doubt, falling away like dust shaken off a garment. I felt lighter, softer, more open. Every part of me seemed to whisper yes, even before I fully understood what I was saying yes to. A tenderness rose like a warm tide from the depths of his presence, pressing gently against my spirit. It was not softness born of fragility, but softness born of strength, The kind of strength that holds galaxies together with a thought. The kind of strength that carries the broken. The kind of strength that whispers to storms and calls them still. And in that strength, I felt held. My soul expanded beneath the weight of the moment, like lungs filling after years of shallow breath. I felt something inside me rise that had been dormant for far too long. Hope. But this hope was different from the fragile hope that breaks easily. This was hope forged in the presence of God. Hope that carried weight. Hope that carried promise. Hope that carried authority. It was in that rising hope that I felt the first wave of His voice, not in sound, but in presence. A presence that spoke before speaking. A presence that communicated without words. A presence that filled every silent space with meaning, as though the silence itself was language spoken directly from heaven. The edges of the room around me softened. The world dimmed. The sensation of time faded. There was no past or future, only this moment, suspended in the eternal now of His presence. I felt as though heaven had stepped so close that its breath warmed the air around me. The veil between realms thinned to a whisper. My spirit trembled, not out of fear, but out of awe. Awe at the nearness of the Holy One. Awe at the magnitude of His love. Awe at the realization that the Creator of the universe was preparing to speak personally to me. Awe at the understanding that what I was about to hear would carry weight, meaning, strategy, healing, and purpose woven directly into its breath. The silence deepened a final time. A silence so full I could feel it humming. A silence that did not quiet the spirit, but awakened it. A silence that was not empty, but overflowing. Overflowing with what had yet to be spoken. And in that silence, I felt the forming of the first word. It rose slowly, powerfully, deliberately, like a sunrise pushing night aside, like a wave gathering strength before it crests, like breath drawn before a declaration that would shift the atmosphere forever. It was not yet spoken, but I felt its shape, its weight, its holiness, its authority, its intention. And with it came the awareness. God was not just preparing to speak into my situation. He was preparing to speak into my identity. He was preparing to speak to the parts of me that had been silent for years. He was preparing to speak in a way that would split the darkness, silence the lies, and awaken the destiny He had placed in my bones long before I understood the meaning of purpose. My spirit steadied, my breath slowed, my heart bowed. And I waited, not with fear, but with reverence, for the voice that would change my life. The moment stretched, slow, suspended, as if heaven itself inhaled with me. The unspoken word hovered like a glowing ember, just beyond the edge of sound. Warm, weighty, alive. I could feel it pressing against the atmosphere, stirring currents of something holy that brushed against my spirit like wind, moving through the wings of a creature just awakening to flight. Every part of me leaned in, drawn by a gravity I could not resist. A gravity that felt ancient and intentional, like the pull of a voice my soul had always known, but had long forgotten how to hear. A tremor rippled through the unseen, subtle at first, like the delicate shifting of light across the surface of water, but then it deepened, resonated, expanded. Something greater than sound began to rise in the depths of the silence. It was not words yet, but meaning. Not sentences yet, but substance. It was the stirring of a divine thought preparing to cross from eternity into time, from the infinite into the finite, from the heart of God into the waiting chambers of my spirit. And then, gently, so gently, it began. A warmth brushed the edges of my being, sweeping inward like a tide reclaiming the shore. It carried with it a knowing, a recognition, a certainty. Not the kind that comes from understanding, but the kind that comes from being understood. I felt seen, fully, deeply, in the kind of way that disarms every defense and melts every wall. A tenderness pressed into me, the kind that can only come from the one who shaped every hidden part of me in his own hands. The weight of that tenderness drew breath from my lungs, soft and slow, like an exhale that my soul had been waiting years to release. In that breath, I felt the first vibration of his voice, not loud, not forceful, but foundational. It moved through me like the sound a mountain would make if you placed your ear against its heart. Deep, ancient, unwavering. A voice that did not speak to my ears, but to the marrow of my being. It flowed into me like light entering a darkened room, illuminating corners I had forgotten existed. It didn't ask permission. It didn't knock. It entered like it belonged. Because it did. Because he did. Because his voice had always been the one home my spirit recognized before anything else. And then, the word formed, not spoken aloud, not yet shaped in human syllables, but birthed in revelation. It rose inside me with the weight of truth, the softness of mercy, and the authority of eternity. It was a word drenched in love, yet wrapped in power, a word that carried the fragrance of heaven's breath, a word that pierced without hurting, healed without breaking, lifted without demanding. Beloved, it echoed not as a title but as identity, not as an introduction, but as remembrance. The moment it formed, something inside me responded instinctively, like a flower turning towards sunlight without being told to do so. My spirit stretched toward that word, drank it, absorbed it, as though it had been starved for this recognition. Beloved, the word unfolded again, this time expanding through me like light through glass, refracting into every fragmented piece of my being. I felt pieces of me I didn't even know were broken begin to warm, soften, realign. Memories wrapped in old wounds loosened their grip. Regrets that had whispered accusations for years began to fade. Fear that had built silent shelters within me now trembled, unable to stand before the weight of that single word. Beloved, the voice carried no condemnation, no hesitation, no disappointment, only certainty, only truth. Only the renewed declaration of the God who had been speaking this identity over me since the beginning, even when I could not hear it, even when I doubted it, even when I forgot it entirely. The word rested on me like a mantle, not heavy but holy, not burdensome but belonging. It settled onto my shoulders like the kind of covering that fits perfectly because it was crafted specifically for me. The atmosphere thickened with his presence, warm, alive, intentional. And from the center of that presence, a movement rose. Not an interruption, but a continuation, as if that one word had simply been the doorway into something far deeper, far wider, far more transformative. The voice gathered strength, not volume, but clarity, not force, but fullness. It resonated through me like the quiet assurance of the earth beneath my feet. And then, like water finally breaking through a dam that had been holding back a river of revelation, his voice flowed into the silence with undeniable power. You are not who you were in the silence. The sentence struck something at my core. Not painfully, but precisely. It cut through layers of long-held lies, sweeping them aside with a gentle ferocity. The words moved through me like light, exposing every misconception I had built about myself. The limitations, the shame, the fear, the narratives I had inherited from pain instead of purpose. The silence you feared was the womb where I rewrote your identity. The revelation unfurled like a banner across my spirit. My breath broke softly, as though some inner pressure had finally been released. I did not hide from you in that quiet season. I hid you. The words poured like oil, warm and healing, seeping into fractures I didn't even realize were still tender. I felt a loosening inside me. The kind that comes when the truth finally touches a wound that has been hurting for far too long. I hid you in stillness because the world would have misnamed you before you understood who you were. The sentence washed over me in waves, slow and steady. Each word carried weight, rearranging the architecture of my inner world. My heart tightened, not with fear, but with recognition. Because somewhere deep inside, I had always known this. Known that I was being protected even when I felt overlooked. Known that I was being shaped even when I felt stuck. You were never forgotten. You were preserved. A warmth flooded my chest again, deeper this time, richer, like a fire reigniting at the base of a long-cooled hearth. His presence pressed closer, as if his voice wanted to settle deeper inside me, etching itself into my spirit permanently. And then the tone of his presence shifted, just slightly, beautifully, like a sunrise shifting from pale gold to blazing brilliance. The gentleness remained, but something stronger rose beneath it, something that felt like preparation, like commissioning, like a holy declaration poised to reshape the trajectory of everything that would follow. Beloved, listen closely. The space around me vibrated softly, as if the very air anticipated the next words. Because the time of your hiddenness is ending. The sentence hit me like a breath inhaled too sharply. Not painful, but awakening. Every part of my spirit jolted with recognition, expectancy, confirmation. The warmth in his voice deepened into something fierce and protective, like the rising of a lion from its resting place. You are stepping into the season I have been preparing you for since the first day you called my name. The presence thickened, wrapped, enveloped. My spirit steadied in that truth, knowing instinctively that what he was about to say next would shift not just my heart, but my future. The silence returned, not empty but electric, alive, breathing. And I waited, as heaven gathered breath again, ready to speak the next revelation that would carry me forward. The pause that followed felt impossibly full, as if the whole atmosphere bent inward, holding its breath with me. It was not the silence of emptiness. It was the silence of imminence. The kind that comes right before a sea breaks open underground or before thunder rolls across the sky. It was the silence that carries weight, intention, power. My heart beat slowly, heavily, like each thud was syncing itself with the rhythm of something eternal approaching. And then the shift, soft at first, subtle, like the faint glow of dawn brushing the edges of a dark horizon. But then it grew, brightened, expanded until I could feel the light pressing against me from the inside out. It wasn't a light I saw. It was a light I felt, one that didn't illuminate the room, but illuminated me. A warmth unfurled in the deepest chambers of my being, rolling outward in waves that carried equal parts comfort and command. Beloved, the time has come. His voice was no longer a whisper in the distance. It was a presence that wrapped around me like a mantle, settling on my shoulders with purpose. It felt like standing at the threshold of something vast, ancient, orchestrated, and now finally unveiled. The very atmosphere trembled with a quiet authority as his voice continued flowing into me. Not hurried, not rushed, but deliberate, like each word was placing a stone into the foundation of a new future. You have wondered why the doors did not open when you knocked, why the opportunities slipped like water through your fingers, why what seemed close enough to touch would suddenly retreat into shadow. And you believed it was delay, denial, distance. But it was none of these. The words draped over me like truth rediscovered, familiar, yet spoken in a way that pierced deeper than ever before. I withheld the doors because you were not meant to walk into them as you were, but as who you have now become. My breath caught. A trembling rose beneath my ribs, the kind that comes when clarity meets long-held confusion, the kind that softens something inside you that had been clenched for years. The silence you endured, the ache you carried, the stretching you resisted, all of it was forming the strength required to sustain what you were about to step into. A warmth pressed through my chest, steady and grounding. His presence felt closer now, not towering above me, but standing within me, filling every hollow space with certainty. You asked me to change your circumstances, but I was changing you. The words resonated like the low hum of something powerful waking beneath the surface of my life. A realization settled over me. Not sharp, not sudden, but gentle, like a sunrise slowly revealing the shape of a mountain that had always been there. Transformation, not rescue. Formation, not escape. Becoming, not bypassing. You prayed for the season to shift, but I needed your spirit to mature before the season could receive you. The truth of it expanded through me like a deep inhale. Every moment of waiting, every unanswered question, every disappointment that once felt like abandonment suddenly realigned in my memory. Not as punishment, but as preparation. I placed you in quiet so you could hear what noise would have drowned out. I hid you in stillness so the fire in you could burn without wind extinguishing it. I shielded you in obscurity so the fragile beginnings of your purpose could strengthen before the world ever laid eyes on it. His voice moved through me like water washing over stone, smoothing out the jagged edges of years of self-doubt. Every sentence cracked open a new understanding. Every word peeled away a layer of weight I didn't realize I still carried. And now, beloved, the cocoon has served its purpose. The words struck something deep, a gentle rupture, a holy unraveling. The air around me thickened, almost vibrating with expectancy. I am not calling you to step forward timidly, but boldly. Not cautiously, but confidently. Not hesitantly, but with the assurance of one who has been forged, not forgotten. A quiet fire lit within me, not the kind that roars, but the kind that glows steady and strong. The fire of one who realizes they are being called into a moment prepared long before they even knew to hope for it. You will no longer walk with a voice that questions, but with a voice that carries conviction. The weight of those words settled into my bones, not heavy, but anchoring. It felt like divine alignment clicking into place, like gears long stuck finally turning smoothly again. Beloved, hear me. The world will feel different now, not because it has changed, but because you have. The ground beneath your feet felt almost alive, as if heaven itself was shifting the terrain in preparation for what came next. Where there was hesitation, there will be holy certainty. Where there was fear, there will be fierce faith. Where there was confusion, there will be clarity that does not waver. I felt the atmosphere brighten, not visually but spiritually, like the unseen realm leaning closer, listening, participating in this moment of unveiling. You will walk into places that once overwhelmed you, and you will remain unshaken. You will enter rooms that once intimidated you, and you will carry authority, not anxiety. You will speak words you once doubted you had the right to speak, and they will carry weight because they originate in me. My breath deepened as his words filled the empty chambers of my heart, expanding them, strengthening them, reviving them. Beloved, the wings you did not realize were being formed in the silence are now ready. A gentle, powerful presence pressed around my shoulders, like the hands of a father steadying his child before their first step toward destiny. The quiet season did not weaken you, it fortified you. The isolation did not diminish you, it refined you. The stillness did not silence you, it sharpened your voice. And now, I am calling you out of hiding. The sentence moved through me with the force of a tide rising in the depths of the ocean. It was not loud, but it shook me, not frightening, but awakening. You will emerge not as the person who went into the quiet, but as the person who was formed in it. The air felt charged now, vibrant, humming with the momentum of something new being released into motion. And when you step forward, you will not step alone. A warmth wrapped around me again, full, steady, protective. I go before you, I walk with you, and I surround you. I sensed another shift, a turning, a transition, like the moment right before a door opens and the atmosphere on both sides begins to mingle. Beloved, the unveiling begins now. The silence fell again, but this time it was not the silence of waiting. It was the silence of anointing, the silence before destiny moves, the silence that signals heaven is opening something new and inviting me to walk into it. The air around me thickened again, not with pressure, but with presence. A holy stillness settled over everything, like a veil gently descending from a realm untouched by time. It wrapped itself around me, soft yet undeniable, like the kind of silence that forms when heaven draws close enough for the soul to hear what the ears cannot. I felt the atmosphere lean in, attentive, reverent, as though creation itself recognized that what was coming next was not simply information, it was transformation. Inside my chest, the quiet flame he had ignited earlier began to pulse, slow, steady, rhythmic, as though syncing with the heartbeat of God himself. It wasn't emotion, it was awakening, a returning, a remembering. Something ancient stirred within me, something that had been dormant beneath layers of fear, doubt, disappointment, and the subtle heaviness of long, unspoken prayers. And it rose now, not violently, but intentionally, as if answering a call that had been echoing through eternity. Beloved, his voice came again, like a thread of light weaving itself into the fabric of my being. Soft, but carrying the power of 1,000 dawns. Calm, but resonating with the authority that shaped galaxies. Every syllable reached into places I had forgotten existed. Deep caverns of my spirit where hope had once lived but had grown quiet over time. Beloved, you have carried burdens that were never meant to define you. The words entered me with a clarity that pierced gently, like rain soaking into dry ground. Images rose in my mind, moments of exhaustion, seasons of grief, stretches of uncertainty. Times when I had believed the weight I carried was proof of abandonment instead of evidence of formation. You believed the heaviness meant I was far, yet it was the sign I was closest. My breath caught, a sharp, quiet inhale as the truth of it washed through me. The weight I thought meant isolation had actually been his shaping hand. The struggles I assumed were signs of divine distance had been the very soil where he had been planting endurance, faith, resilience, identity. You mistook the pressure for punishment, but it was preparation. The words settled over me like warm oil, smooth and soothing, flowing into every memory that had ever whispered failure, unworthiness, or not enough. I felt those lies begin to dissolve, not all at once, but slowly, deliberately, like chains loosening link by link. Beloved, hear me. The rooms you are about to enter require a version of you that did not exist before the silent season. The doors that are opening have been calibrated to the strength, wisdom, humility, and depth I have forged within you. I felt something shift inside, like the subtle turning of a lock that had been stuck for years. A recognition unfurled that all the waiting, all the wondering, all the quiet wrestling had been growing the very version of me who could handle what was coming next. I could almost feel the unseen realm moving around me, aligning, arranging, preparing. There was a sense that heaven had been waiting for this moment, not because I had been late, but because the timing had finally matured. You are stepping into days that require courage you did not have before, discernment you did not walk in before, an identity you did not believe before. The warmth in his voice deepened, wrapping around me like a cloak, not of pressure, but of belonging. The very battles that broke you became the birthplace of the authority you now carry. A tremble moved through me, not of fear, but of holy realization. Every hardship, every quiet night, every unanswered question, every ache, every season that felt like delay or denial had been chiseling something eternal within me. You thought you were being overlooked, but you were being set apart. The sentence echoed with the weight of heaven's intention. It held no condemnation, only revelation, only truth, only the gentle, fierce assurance of a God who never wastes a single tear. I hid you, not to diminish you, but to distinguish you. The presence around me thickened again, full, warm, intentional, as if his hands rested gently on my shoulders, steadying me for what he would say next. Beloved, there will be moments ahead that require remembering who you have become in me. Moments where fear will reach for your ankles. Moments where doubt will whisper again. Moments where old wounds may try to resurrect old versions of you. But hear me now. You will not return to who you were, because that version no longer exists. The words hit my spirit like a rushing wave. Strong, liberating, fiercely loving. A deep exhale escaped me, unbidden, as if my soul had been holding its breath for far too long. What the silence refined cannot be undone. The phrase settled into me like an anchor. I felt its truth imprint itself on my breath, my thoughts, my very bones. The stillness was not just preparation, it was transformation. Beloved, your confidence will not come from what you can do, but from who you carry within you. A soft heat moved through my chest, slow, expanding, like a fire awakening in the heart of a forest that had forgotten warmth. You will walk into places with a quiet authority that cannot be copied because it was cultivated in solitude. You will speak with a clarity that cannot be manufactured because it was shaped in surrender. You will stand with a strength that cannot be shaken because it was born in the breaking. The atmosphere hummed with the resonance of truth. It felt as if unseen doors were beginning to open, not metaphorically, but spiritually, like chambers of purpose unlocking one after another. This is why I call you forward now, not as one uncertain, but as one unleashed. A wind, soft but undeniable, seemed to brush past me, carrying the sense of movement, of momentum building, of something long awaited finally stepping into view. Beloved, the mantle of hiddenness is lifting. A hush swept over the moment, full, sacred, electric, as if heaven paused again, preparing to release something profound. You will no longer walk as one who wonders if they are chosen, but as one who knows they are sent. The words vibrated through the very center of my being, not loudly, but deeply, powerfully, irrevocably. You will no longer question your calling. You will embody it. You will no longer wait for permission. You will walk in the authority I have already placed within you. You will no longer shrink to fit into rooms. Rooms will expand to accommodate what I have placed upon you. Something rose inside me like a tide, a swelling, a blooming, a holy boldness awakening from its long slumber. Beloved, hear me. You are stepping into a divine unveiling. The phrase echoed like a bell across my spirit, awakening parts of me I didn't know were asleep. This is the season where what was cultivated in secret will be revealed in strength. What was whispered in the quiet will be declared with confidence. What was formed in darkness will shine with a brilliance that cannot be dimmed. A pulse of wind, sacred, weighty, real, moved through the space again. And then his voice lowered, not in volume, but in tone, becoming deeper, closer, more intimate. Beloved, prepare yourself, for what comes next will not merely change your path. It will change you. The words lingered in the air, suspended like a final note that refused to fade. And the silence that followed was not empty. It was pregnant, full, expectant. The kind of silence that happens right before destiny steps into the room. The silence after his last words did not feel like an ending. It felt like a beginning, a doorway opening in the unseen, a threshold inviting me forward. Something within me shifted again, subtle yet unmistakable, like the soft but certain movement of the earth beneath seeds just before they break open. A quiet sense of becoming rose within me, slow, profound, inevitable. It was as though his words were still echoing in the chambers of my spirit, filling every hollow place with new breath, new meaning, new identity. The presence around me thickened, saturating the air with a holy warmth that seemed to melt the last remnants of fear hiding in the corners of my soul. My heart beat slow and deep, each thud resonating with the rhythm of something greater than myself, something ancient, something eternal, something that had been guiding me long before I recognized its voice. The atmosphere felt alive again, charged, humming with the electricity of heaven's movement. Beloved, the word rose once more, not like a whisper this time, but like a truth unfurling with gentle authority. It settled over me like a mantle, fitting so naturally that I wondered how I had ever lived without knowing its weight. My spirit leaned in instinctively, responding to that name with the kind of familiarity only eternity can teach. Beloved, what you are sensing now is not imagination, it is alignment. The light in his presence swelled, not with brightness, but with depth, as though the unseen realm leaned closer, each layer of glory drawing me inward toward a center I could not see but could feel pulsing with life. The truth of his words resonated inside me, loosening the tight tensions I had carried for years, unraveling them one by one until all that remained was openness. You are feeling the shift because the season itself is shifting. The words flowed through me like warm currents moving through deep water. Not rushed, not forced, only guided by purpose. The ground beneath you, or the spiritual soil where your roots have been stretching in silence, is now being stirred. A shiver passed through me, not of fear, but of recognition. Something about those words felt undeniably true, as if they matched sensations I had been feeling for weeks, even months. The restless ache, the quiet anticipation, the sense that something was approaching but not yet visible. Your spirit has already stepped into the next season. Your mind is simply catching up. The revelation sank in like light filling a room before dawn's first color touches the sky. Suddenly, so much made sense. The tension, the longing, the strange mix of peace and urgency that had settled over my days recently. Beloved, you are awakening. The words moved through me like the soft opening of a flower, gentle, sacred, unhurried, yet utterly unstoppable. I felt something deep within me respond like a dormant seed, quickening to life beneath warm soil. You are awakening to who you have always been in me. The warmth of his presence deepened, wrapping around my heart with such tenderness that it stirred tears, not of sorrow, but of release. Years of quiet searching, quiet hoping, quiet hurting, all being met now with clarity that entered not through the mind, but through the spirit. Awakening is not the moment you become someone new. It is the moment you remember who you were created to be. A soft breath escaped me, the kind that carries relief within it, the kind that feels like the soul itself exhaling after holding tension for too long. His truth moved through me with gentle precision, like hands uncovering buried treasure, brushing away the dust of years so that the gold beneath could shine again. You are stepping out of the identity shaped by wounds and into the identity shaped by my hands. The quiet flame inside my chest brightened, not violently, but steadily, like a fire welcoming fresh oxygen. I felt strength rise in me, not loud, not forceful, but rooted, grounded, ancient. The version of you that lived in survival is giving way to the version of you that walks in purpose. A pulse of warmth surged through me, a holy electricity awakening muscles of faith that had grown tired. His words rearranged something in the landscape of my soul, opening space for possibilities I had long stopped believing were meant for me. Beloved, the shift you feel is not random. It is the release of what I planted in you in the quiet years. My breath grew deeper, steadier, as truth layered upon truth. I could feel the invisible architecture of my future taking shape, Not in detail, but in direction. Not in blueprint, but in foundation. You have outgrown the places that once felt comfortable. The sentence resonated painfully at first, not because it hurt, but because it illuminated the source of the restlessness I had been fighting. I had been trying to fit myself into containers my soul had already outgrown. Where you struggled to stay, I am now calling you to rise. A quiet sound, more spirit than breath, came from deep within me. A release, a surrender, a yes. The season you are stepping into requires the wings that have formed beneath your scars. The room around me felt different, not physically, but spiritually, as though the atmosphere had expanded to accommodate the magnitude of what was being spoken. Beloved, you have been shedding old identities without realizing it. His presence hovered, tender and powerful, as though waiting for my heart to absorb every word, every truth, every shift. The thoughts you no longer agree with, the relationships that no longer align, the dreams that no longer fit, are signs of transformation, not loss. Another wave of recognition moved through me. Slow, warm, honest. Pieces of my life that had been falling away suddenly made sense in a way they never had before. You are becoming too large for the walls that once confined you. The statement did not inflate pride, it revived dignity. A dignity that had been buried beneath years of doubt and shrinking and questioning my worth. His voice lifted it gently, reclaiming it piece by piece. Do not mourn what is leaving. It is making space for what is arriving. The words wrapped around me like a promise, whispered into the deepest parts of my being. I felt the old fear of change begin to melt, replaced by anticipation, expectancy, holy curiosity. Beloved, the unveiling will require courage, but not the courage to be strong, the courage to be seen. My heart tightened, not in fear, but in recognition of how deeply those words touched the tender places inside me. The places where vulnerability had once been dangerous. The places where being seen had once equaled being hurt. But now, the voice continued, softer, closer, almost like breath on my spirit. You will be seen through the lens of who I have made you, not the wounds that tried to unmake you. A wave of warmth rolled through me, soothing, healing, liberating. Your life is entering a divine unfolding, a revealing, a rising. The presence thickened again, fuller, deeper, as though heaven itself stepped one breath closer. Beloved, prepare your spirit. What you are stepping into is not small, it is not fragile, it is not uncertain. It is appointed, it is aligned, it is ordained. His voice settled into the air like a seal being pressed into wax. Final, irreversible, holy. And the silence that followed did not feel like stillness. It felt like footsteps approaching. The footsteps in the silence did not startle me. They awakened something inside me that had been waiting, listening, longing for this moment without even understanding why. It felt as though the atmosphere itself inhaled with me, slow, deliberate, sacred, pulling the unseen realm closer with every breath. The shift was not loud, but it was undeniable. The invisible became weighty, the spiritual became tangible, and the place where I stood felt suddenly too small for what was unfolding within me. Beloved, the voice moved again, not through sound but through presence, like a hand brushing gently across the surface of my soul, steadying me, preparing me. Something in me straightened as though called into alignment by an authority older than creation itself. The truth rose like dawn. I was standing on holy ground within the landscape of my own spirit. What you sense now is not uncertainty, it is elevation. The words moved like warmth, spreading through cold limbs. Slow, deliberate, restoring movement where there had been stiffness. My heart expanded with each sentence, as though new rooms were opening inside me, ushering me into territory I had never explored. Elevation feels unfamiliar because it is building a version of you that has never existed before. A soft tremor passed through my spirit, not fear, but recognition. I could feel it, this becoming, this rising, this expanding into a self that was not shaped by fear or wounds or survival, but by calling, by destiny, by divine breath. Beloved, you are stepping into the dimension where your spirit leads and your wounds no longer dictate. I felt that truth settle deep, dismantling old patterns like sunlight dissolving shadows. The places where fear once lived felt quieter. The insecurities that once echoed loudly within me sounded distant now, faint, irrelevant. In this elevation, your old limitations cannot follow you. The sentence flowed into me like a river washing away debris left by storms. It cleansed old assumptions, old narratives, old labels that had clung to me for years as though they belonged. You have outgrown the version of yourself that fear created. Those words pierced gently, not to wound, but to release. Something old loosened its grip on my soul, like a vine detaching from a tree that no longer carries its weight. I could feel it, the disconnection from who I had been forced to be. Your spirit is now stretching into the fullness of who you already are in me. The weight of that truth pressed tears to the surface, not from pain, but from recognition, from seeing myself the way heaven had always seen me. A soft ache rose in my chest, an ache made of longing, wonder, surrender. This elevation requires trust. Trust not in what you see, but in what I have spoken over you. The atmosphere around me pulsed softly with that truth, like the slow, steady heartbeat of the unseen. I breathed it in, letting it settle, letting it expand. You are no longer walking in the shadow of your old battles. I felt a shifting inside me. As if chains I didn't even know were there fell away with silent finality. You are walking now in the radiance of your breakthrough. The words glowed inside me, illuminating parts of my heart I had not touched in years. Places I had kept hidden, places I had kept guarded, places I had believed were too fragile to expose to the light. But now they were awakening, gently, courageously, beautifully. Beloved, your elevation is not upward, it is inward. That truth stilled me completely. Elevation was not about climbing, it was about uncovering, about returning, about peeling back the layers that life had placed over the masterpiece he had crafted. Inward elevation is the most powerful transformation because it aligns you with who you were before the world wounded you. A trembling breath left my lips, a breath filled with both release and realization. Every word was unearthing buried identity, buried strength, buried glory. You are rising into your original design. A quiet bloom of warmth unfurled in my chest. Soft but undeniable, it felt like coming home to something I had never actually known, yet always belonged to. Every step you take inward is also a step forward. The paradox felt holy, like the mysteries of heaven unfolding not to be solved, but to be lived, experienced, embodied. Beloved, you are being repositioned. The air thickened again, not with weight, but with intention. Something was aligning. Something was being activated. Something was being released. Repositioning is not about where you stand in the world, but where you stand within yourself. The truth of it washed over me in steady waves. How many battles had I fought externally because I was losing internally? How many storms had I feared because my spirit had forgotten its anchor? Repositioning means you will no longer fight battles beneath your authority. Another breath escaped me, shaky, reverent, overwhelmed. I felt the shift, not outside me, but within me, like a foundation being strengthened, roots deepening, walls expanding. Beloved, the authority you carry now is not the same as before. I felt it, a subtle but unmistakable rise of strength, not loud, not aggressive, but grounded, ancient, holy. You will speak differently, move differently, see differently, because you are different. The air seemed to hum with that truth. Not with pressure, but with empowerment. Not with burden, but with identity. Your spirit has accepted what your mind is only beginning to understand. A deep stillness fell over me, the kind that carries revelation inside it. The kind that feels like the earth pausing as seeds beneath the soil begin to break open. Beloved, the elevation you are entering is not fragile, it is fortified. I felt the strength of those words anchor themselves in my chest. Firm, immovable, eternal. I breathed them in slowly, letting them seal themselves within me. You will not collapse under the weight of this season. You were built for it. A warmth spread through me, stronger now. Not the warmth of comfort, but of empowerment, of awakening, of stepping fully into purpose. You are no longer a survivor of your story. You are the steward of your destiny. The statement rang like a bell inside me, clear and resonant, echoing through the corridors of my spirit. Your life is no longer defined by what tried to break you, but by what I am building in you. A gentle tremor moved through me, holy, grounding, unmistakable. Beloved, you are ready. The words felt final yet beginning, complete yet unfolding, sealed yet expansive. The elevation has already begun, and the silence that followed did not feel empty. It felt expectant, like the quiet moment before wings lift off the ground. The stillness that followed did not settle like silence. It settled like a doorway opening. Something in the atmosphere shifted, not outwardly, but inwardly. Like the walls of my spirit expanded and made room for something vast, something ancient, something sacred. I could feel it even before the next breath reached me. A presence unfolding like light through a veil, warm, deliberate, unhurried, yet filled with divine intention. Beloved, the word moved softly but carried the weight of eternity. It did not echo. It resonated like the deep hum of creation vibrating through my bones, awakening the places inside me that had long been dormant. I exhaled slowly, feeling every layer of resistance inside me loosen, dissolve, surrender. What you feel rising within you now is not emotion, it is awakening. The truth settled over me, gentle but undeniable. The warmth in my chest deepened, pulsing like a heartbeat not my own. Steady, certain, holy. The air around me felt alive, charged with promise, heavy with purpose. You are awakening to what your spirit has always known. The words drifted into me like a river flowing through dry terrain, filling crevices that had long been empty, neglected, untouched. My spirit recognized it before my mind did. This was remembrance, restoration, revelation, all woven into one. Awakening is not the gaining of something new. It is the remembering of something eternal. A trembling breath escaped my lips. I felt the truth of it settle like fire beneath my ribs, warming the places inside me that had grown cold from disappointment, numb from waiting, weary from carrying battles I did not understand. Beloved, you are awakening to the part of you that cannot be shaken. My heart responded in quiet surrender, a soft, instinctive yes rising from a place deeper than thought, deeper than desire, deeper than language. This awakening is not loud, it is steady. The heat in my spirit grew, gentle yet constant, not like a flame consuming, but like a sunrise expanding, unveiling itself little by little, illuminating what always existed but had been hidden beneath layers of fear in former seasons. You are awakening into strength that does not tremble. The sentence lingered in the air, anchored, solid. It pulled something forward inside me, a confidence I had forgotten, a clarity I had once tasted but lost in the noise of life's storms. Strength that is born from me cannot be shaken by what shakes the world. The truth wrapped itself around me like a shield made of light. No weight, no force, just presence, just assurance, just the steady knowing that I was no longer standing in the remnants of who I used to be. Beloved, I am awakening the warrior within you. The word struck something deep, Not a place of aggression, but a place of identity, authority, divine endurance. A soft tremor of realization passed through me. Warriors are not made in comfort. They are revealed in surrender. A quiet ache rose in me, the ache of truth landing exactly where it was meant to land. I could feel older versions of myself loosening, shedding like fragments of an old identity that no longer fit the shape of my spirit. You are awakening into the version of you that hell hoped would never rise. The atmosphere pulsed, once, twice, as though responding to the declaration. The weight of those words settled into my bones, not as burden, but as calling, as commission, as truth that could no longer be denied. Beloved, the battles you have survived were not random. The air thickened again, but not with heaviness, with revelation. They were the training ground for the authority you are stepping into now. A long breath left my body, carrying with it the residue of seasons where I felt small, unseen, uncertain. The voice continued, weaving purpose through every memory I once labeled as pain. Nothing you endured was wasted. Every tear, every tremor, every moment of confusion, I gathered them all. The sentence wrapped me gently, tenderly, like hands cupping something fragile and precious. I turned your wounds into wisdom. I turned your waiting into weight. I turned your pain into purpose. The truth of it washed over me like warm rain falling on parched earth. My spirit drank deeply, hungrily, gratefully. Beloved, you are awakening because your season is shifting. There was no hesitation in those words. Only certainty, only authority. The kind that doesn't predict change, but declares it. Awakening is the first sound of destiny unfolding. I felt a pull in my chest, subtle but firm, like something inside me leaning forward into a future that had already begun to arrive, already begun to take shape, already begun to move with divine momentum. You are stepping into alignment with the timeline heaven has prepared. Another tremor of realization passed through me. Something inside me, perhaps long buried, long silenced, long overshadowed, rose like a tide. And alignment always begins with awakening. A slow breath filled my lungs, deeper than before, fuller, freer. The air tasted different, clearer, lighter, like oxygen infused with clarity. Beloved, you are awakening into your authority. The word authority did not feel intimidating. It felt like inheritance, like coming home to something that had always been mine, but had been waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Authority is not a crown you wear. It is a truth you embody. The warmth in my chest pulsed again, brighter, steadier, more defined. You carry the breath of the one who spoke worlds into existence. The sentence anchored itself in me like a root-piercing soil, steady, strong, immovable. My heart responded with a softness that surprised me. Not fear, not doubt, but acceptance, agreement, surrender. Beloved, you are awakening to the reality of who walks with you. I felt it, the closeness, the nearness, the undeniable presence of the one who had been guiding every step, even when I couldn't see, couldn't hear, couldn't feel. I did not leave you in the silence. I led you through it. A tear slipped down my face, not from sorrow, but from recognition. The recognition of a love that had never wavered, never departed, never relented. Awakening means seeing me where you once saw nothing. The truth settled in the deepest parts of me, not as information, but as transformation. You are awakening, beloved, because it is time. The sentence hovered in the air, soft, weighty, holy. It did not rush, it did not shout. It simply existed like truth that no longer needed permission to be spoken. It is time for you to rise into what I created you to carry. It is time for you to step into what I have prepared. It is time for you to become what I have spoken. My heart lifted, slowly, steadily, like something inside me finally unclenching after years of holding tightly to fear disguised as caution. Beloved, your awakening is not coming, it has begun, and the silence that followed did not feel empty. It felt alive, like dawn breaking behind closed eyes. The moment the awakening settled into the chambers of my spirit, something else began to unfold. Something wider, deeper, older than anything I had ever carried before. It did not surge in like a rushing wind. It approached like a tide, slow, deliberate, but unstoppable. I could feel it rising in the spaces between my breaths, filling me with a holy weight that felt both unfamiliar and intimately mine. Beloved, the word moved through the air like a ribbon of gold, soft yet sovereign, gentle yet commanding. It touched the surface of my soul, and instantly everything within me became still. Not frozen, but attentive, like creation itself, leaning toward the voice that first summoned light out of nothingness. There is something I must reveal to you now, something that only an awakened spirit can receive. My heartbeat slowed, my chest expanded. My inner world quieted until the only thing I could sense was him, his nearness, his magnitude, his intention woven into every breath around me. Beloved, you are stepping into inheritance. The truth didn't shock me. It settled into me like something I had always known but had forgotten, like a memory written before time, resurfacing at the exact appointed moment. Inheritance is not earned, it is received. And it is time for you to receive what has always been yours. A warmth unfurled in me, not a spark, but an engulfing glow that spread outward, touching every part of me that had once been dimmed by fear or delay. I felt myself opening, widening, softening into surrender. Your inheritance is not a thing, it is an identity. The truth pulsed through me like light filling a vessel. You were not created to chase blessing. You were created to carry presence. A soft trembling moved through my chest. Not anxiety, but recognition. It felt like stepping into a room inside myself I had never opened before. Beloved, your inheritance is me. The weight of that truth pressed tears to the surface, holy and unashamed. Of all the things I thought I lacked, all the things I prayed for, all the things I waited for, he was giving me himself. And when you carry me, you lack nothing. I inhaled slowly. The air felt different, thicker with glory, softer with love, fuller with meaning. You have mistaken waiting for withholding, but I withheld nothing. I was waiting for you to awaken to fullness. A steady warmth rested at the center of my being, a warmth that felt safe, whole, anchored. Beloved, let me show you what inheritance truly means. The atmosphere shifted again, like a curtain being pulled back within the unseen realm. Inheritance is not an answer to your prayer. It is the unveiling of your purpose. My breath caught softly in my throat. I could feel the truth of it wrapping around the deepest parts of me, reshaping the way I saw myself. You are not merely stepping into a season. You are stepping into a stature. The words echoed inside me, not loudly but deeply, settling into the very architecture of my spirit like foundation stones being set in place. Your stature in me has grown. Your authority has matured. Your identity has been forged. I felt the weight of those words like a mantle settling over my shoulders. Not heavy, but rightful, fitting, ordained. Inheritance means you no longer walk into rooms hoping to be chosen. You walk in already appointed. My lungs filled with breath slowly, as though taking in a reality I hadn't known was available to me. Inheritance means you no longer pray from desperation, but from dominion. A quiet strength rose in me, not pride, but positioning, a recognition of the authority I had been shaped to carry. Inheritance means the atmosphere responds to who you are becoming. The air around me seemed to pulse, as though the unseen realm acknowledged the truth even before I fully grasped it. Beloved, you have been fighting battles beneath your spiritual rank. The realization shook something loose inside me. The countless moments I felt defeated, overwhelmed, small, suddenly came into perspective. Elevation rewrites your battles. Inheritance rewrites your identity. My heart absorbed the truth like a sponge, thirsty, open, ready. You are not who you were even one season ago. You have grown, you have expanded, you have shifted into alignment with heaven. A deep breath flowed through me, steadying me from the inside out. Now, your inheritance must unfold. The air shimmered, almost as though the unseen world leaned closer to listen. Inheritance unfolds in waves: revelation, authority, alignment, and now, assignment. My spirit stilled, not from fear, but from readiness. Beloved, your assignment is awakening. A quiet tremor rippled through me, the kind that accompanies destiny brushing up against the edges of your awareness. The things that once drained you will no longer touch you. The battles that once intimidated you will now bow before you. Something rose inside me, courage, clarity, or maybe both. Because inheritance empowers assignment. The atmosphere grew warmer, richer, the air humming like a string being plucked by an unseen hand. Your assignment will not require striving. It will require surrender. It will flow from the fullness I have placed within you. I felt myself breathing deeper, slower, like my spirit had expanded to make space for this next unveiling. Beloved, let me tell you what is happening around you even now. The realm of the unseen is rearranging itself. Angels are repositioning, timelines are realigning, paths are being cleared. Each word felt like a stone dropping into holy waters, sending ripples through my entire being. Your inheritance has activated movement in heaven. My pulse responded, faster yet peaceful, alive with expectation. And now, everything that once resisted you will begin to recognize you. A quiet gasp slipped from my lips. Not dramatic, but deeply personal. I could feel it. The shift, the recognition, the spiritual authority settling around me like a mantle. Beloved, this is the beginning. The words held no urgency, only certainty. The beginning of fullness, the beginning of clarity, the beginning of divine confidence, the beginning of becoming. My spirit trembled with reverence, not from fear, but from awe at what was unfolding inside me. You are stepping into the life I wrote for you before the world ever touched you. A warmth settled over my shoulders, soothing, steady, sacred. And nothing can stop what I'm unfolding now. Not delay, not fear, not doubt, not opposition. Beloved, your inheritance makes you unstoppable. The truth hovered in the air, glowing with revelation. Take a breath, feel the shift, let it settle. Because this is not information, this is impartation. You are not just hearing these words, you are becoming them. And as the air stilled once more, I felt it, the unmistakable truth. My life was no longer waiting to begin, it had begun. The realization that my life had already begun unfolded inside me like a sunrise, slowly expanding, steadily brightening, illuminating corners of my soul I had never fully seen before. It did not crash in, it blossomed. It rose from within, not from outside. It was gentle yet undeniable, quiet yet overpowering, like light entering a room that had been locked for years. Beloved, the word brushed against my spirit with a tenderness that softened me instantly. My breath deepened. My entire inner world stilled. It wasn't the stillness of silence. It was the stillness of recognition, the kind that comes when truth finally finds the place it belongs and settles there like a crown. You are beginning to see yourself the way I have always seen you. The statement moved slowly, allowing every syllable to sink into me layer by layer. It did not rush, it did not demand. It simply revealed. And as it revealed, something inside me expanded. A soft opening, a widening, a deepening. Beloved, identity precedes destiny. The words did not strike like lightning. They surrounded me like warmth, wrapping me in revelation that felt older than my own lifetime. A soft ache rose in my chest. The ache that comes when you realize how long you have lived beneath what heaven spoke over you. You have carried names that were never yours. You have worn labels that did not come from me. My breath shivered gently. You believed what pain told you. You believed what disappointment echoed. You believed what the world projected. But now, I felt the atmosphere shift, like the earth beneath me tilted, repositioning me deeper into alignment. Now you are awakening to your true name. The sentence settled like a mantle across my shoulders, warm, steady, rightful. Your name in heaven has never changed, but your awareness of it is being restored. A slow exhale slipped from my lips, carrying with it old narratives that once shaped me, silently falling away like dust shaken from a garment no longer meant to be worn. Beloved, let me remind you who you are. The air grew richer, the way the air feels before rain touches the earth. You are chosen, not by accident, but by intention. Not as an afterthought, but as design. The words flowed through me like oil, soothing wounds I didn't realize were still tender. You are beloved, not because you earned it, but because you were crafted from my love. The truth moved deeper, touching places inside me that had long sought validation from human hands instead of divine breath. You are appointed not to survive, but to shape, not to wander, but to walk with purpose, not to hide, but to carry light. A quiet flame rose within me, not a flame of ambition, but of alignment, a flame lit by knowing who I am because of who He is. Beloved, hear me. Identity is not who the world told you to be. Identity is who I formed you to be before the world spoke a single word. The revelation slid down into my spirit like honey, sweet, rich, heavy with meaning. You were not created to shrink. You were not created to fear. You were not created to question your worth with every breath. You were created to reflect me. A soft trembling passed through my body, the kind of trembling that comes with healing, not harm. Identity is the mirror in which destiny recognizes itself. Another breath entered me, deeper than the last, fuller, clearing space for what was coming next. Beloved, your inheritance awakens identity. Identity activates authority. Authority unlocks destiny, and destiny is what you are stepping into now. The truth echoed through me like reverberating light. But hear this clearly, child. Destiny is not a destination. It is a becoming. I felt something shift again. The way tectonic plates move beneath the earth, quietly but drastically. Destiny is not in the future. It is unfolding in every obedient step, every surrendered breath, every awakened moment. I inhaled, letting the words expand inside me like new architecture being built from the inside out. Beloved, there is a greater truth I need you to receive. Your destiny is not fragile, it is fortified. A warmth spread through my rib cage, bold, steady, undeniable. What I have written cannot be erased. What I have ordained cannot be undone. What I have spoken cannot be silenced. The revelation pressed deeper, sinking into the very core of who I was becoming. Destiny is not something you chase, it is something you align with. And now, I could feel the air shift like a veil being lifted. You are aligned. A quiet strength rose through me. Not loud, not forceful, but sturdy like foundation stone. Beloved, because you are aligned, things will begin to accelerate. The word accelerate pulsed through me, igniting something that felt both electric and holy. Not rushed, but accelerated. Not chaotic, but divinely synchronized. Acceleration is not speed, it is divine timing fulfilled. My heart recognized the truth instantly. The way destiny presses into the present when the soul is finally ready to hold it. Your steps will carry weight. Your words will carry authority. Your presence will carry purpose. Not because you strive, but because you are aligned with who you truly are. The warmth in the atmosphere deepened, like a hand resting gently on my back, guiding me forward. Beloved, listen closely. You will begin to notice doors responding differently to you. A soft pulse moved through the air, not because the doors changed, but because you did. The barriers that once resisted you will lower. The walls that once intimidated you will open. The places where you were once overlooked will now recognize the mantle you carry. For identity carries fragrance, and heaven's fragrance cannot be ignored. My breath deepened, slow, reverent, full of awe. Beloved, everything is beginning to respond to the truth that now lives within you. People will sense it, environments will shift around it, atmospheres will bend to accommodate it. This is not arrogance, this is alignment. Then his presence pressed into me, not forcefully but fully. You have stepped out of survival. You have stepped into sovereignty. The statement rang inside me like a bell, deep, resonant, calling everything within me to attention. And destiny flows from those who know who they are. Beloved, I need you to receive this without shrinking. You are stepping into the fullness of who heaven says you are. No more hiding, no more doubting, no more waiting for permission I already gave you. You are becoming, and as you become, everything around you will follow. This is identity restored. This is destiny awakened. This is inheritance unveiled. And this is only the beginning. The moment destiny awakened within me, something vast and indescribable began to stir. Not around me, but within the deepest chambers of my being. It felt like an inner horizon expanding, like a sunrise inside my soul slowly climbing higher and higher, revealing landscapes of identity and purpose I had never known existed. The shift wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic. It was profound, steady, holy, like the unveiling of a truth that had been waiting patiently for the appointed hour to reveal itself. Beloved, the word pressed into me with a warmth that dissolved every wall I once used to guard myself. My breath deepened, the center of my spirit softened. Every part of me leaned into the sound of his presence. There is more I must reveal to you, more than you have known, more than you have dared to imagine. The air thickened with intention, not heavy, but full, as though the unseen realm was preparing to unveil secrets long kept in the vaults of eternity. You are stepping into a dimension of purpose that requires a fuller understanding of who you are and who I am within you. The words moved slowly, intentionally, weaving revelation into the fabric of my spirit like golden thread, stitching together pieces of identity that had felt scattered across years and seasons. Beloved, purpose is not something you chase. Purpose is something you embody. A subtle tremor passed through me, the kind that comes not from fear, but from awe, from the realization that purpose was not distant, not elusive, but already awakening from within. You have lived too long believing destiny was somewhere ahead of you, but destiny has always lived inside you, waiting for the moment your spirit would open. And now, that moment has come. A soft, releasing breath flowed out of me, carrying remnants of old fears, old insecurities, old misunderstandings of who I thought I needed to be. Beloved, you carry my breath, and where my breath rests, purpose flows. The truth sank deeper, becoming not just something I understood, but something I felt, something I recognized as a living reality pressing through the walls of my humanity. Your purpose is not fragile because I am the one who formed it. A warmth settled over my ribcage, quiet, steady, reassuring. Purpose woven by God cannot be unraveled by circumstances. Purpose spoken by heaven cannot be silenced by earth. Purpose formed in eternity cannot be threatened by time. The revelation wrapped around me like a cloak of light, weightless yet grounding, tender yet unshakable. Beloved, purpose begins where fear ends. The words hovered gently, landing in the places where fear had once whispered doubts about calling, worth, readiness. Those whispers faded now, overshadowed by the resonance of truth. Purpose is not fulfilled through striving, it is fulfilled through surrender. A soft ache bloomed across my chest. The ache of release, the ache of recognition, the ache of shedding layers that no longer belonged to who I was becoming. You do not need to force anything into being. You only need to allow what I placed within you to rise. The atmosphere seemed to brighten, as though light itself breathed with me. Beloved, there is a reason the awakening came first. Awakening prepares the soil. Awakening softens the heart. Awakening deepens the spirit. And now, because you have awakened, purpose can unfold. A sense of clarity washed over me, gentle but undeniable. Purpose unfolds in presence. Purpose unfolds in obedience. Purpose unfolds in becoming. No striving, no pressure, just alignment. The truth settled like rain on thirsty ground. Beloved, Your life is not a random sequence of moments. It is a blueprint, a tapestry, a divine orchestration. Every piece has meaning, every moment has weight, every season has purpose. My breath caught softly, not from shock, but from the weight of realization that the scattered fragments of my story had never been scattered at all. They were intentionally placed, perfectly timed, carefully designed. You did not miss your purpose, you grew into it. The sentence rested in me with a gentleness that felt like healing. Healing for every thought that whispered I was behind. Healing for every fear that insisted I had wasted time. Beloved, purpose emerges when your identity matures, and your identity has matured. I felt it, the truth of it, like a lock clicking open deep within. This is why the battles lasted as long as they did. This is why I allowed the stretching. This is why I allowed the silence. Not to break you, but to build capacity for the purpose I designed you to carry. A shiver moved through me. Holy, reverent awakening. Purpose requires depth, and depth requires seasons that feel like darkness. The revelation struck something sacred inside me. The understanding that even my shadowed seasons were part of the divine blueprint. Beloved, nothing in your story is wasted. The air pulsed, once softly, as if heaven itself confirmed those words. Every tear watered the ground of purpose. Every delay shaped the timing of purpose. Every disappointment carved the character required for purpose. I breathed slowly, letting the truth heal years of misunderstanding. Purpose is not an assignment you complete. Purpose is a person you become. My chest warmed with recognition. Yes, yes, yes. This was the truth my spirit had sensed, but never fully understood until now. Beloved, hear me. You are not behind, you are not late, you are not unprepared. You are right on time. My heart trembled with relief and release. The kind that comes from hearing the words you didn't know you had been waiting decades to hear. I have been preparing people, places, and paths around you. You will step into them with ease because they were shaped for you. The warmth deepened, not the warmth of comfort, but of empowerment. The doors you are about to walk through will not open because of who you know. They will open because of who you have become. A quiet strength rose in me, deeper and steadier than anything I had ever carried before. Beloved, step into the truth now. You are the vessel I chose. You are the voice I anointed. You are the heart I prepared. You are the presence I will carry into places that need me. Purpose is not ahead of you. Purpose is upon you. My spirit straightened, not with pride, but with reverence. And you will not walk into this alone. The atmosphere warmed again, the kind of warmth that feels like a hand resting on your back, guiding you forward. My presence goes with you. My power flows through you. My wisdom surrounds you. My favor precedes you. Purpose unfolds in partnership, and I am your partner. The realization filled me with a peace I had never known. Deep, anchored, unshakable. Beloved, you are ready. You are aligned. You are becoming. And because of this, purpose will not simply appear in your life. It will overflow from you. This is destiny. This is identity. This is inheritance. This is purpose awakened. This is who you were always meant to be. The moment purpose settled into my spirit, something broader, deeper, and far more luminous began to move. Not as a sudden striking force, but as an unfolding, like a veil lifting, like water rising, like a hidden chamber of heaven opening slowly to reveal what had been waiting there since the beginning of time. I felt it forming inside me before I could name it. A holy weight, a sacred density, a fullness I had not yet experienced in any season before. Beloved, the voice entered like breath, gentle, warm, encompassing, yet carrying a gravity that made the very center of my being still itself. The silence around me was not empty. It was reverent. It held space for what was about to be revealed. Purpose has awakened within you, but now you must learn to carry presence. The words pressed into me with a depth that made my heart expand, as though something inside me was being prepared to hold more, more glory, more authority, more truth, more of Him. Purpose aligns your life. Presence transforms it. The revelation washed over me like waves, rhythmic, patient, steady, erasing the remnants of striving that once tried to fill my calling with my own strength. Beloved, you were never meant to walk in purpose without presence. Purpose without presence becomes pressure. Presence turns purpose into flow. A warm exhale slipped from my lips, soft and surrendered. I could feel the shift, the invitation, the calling deeper. Presence is not measured by emotion. Presence is measured by awareness. My chest tightened gently, as though something was being carved into me. Not painfully, but purposefully. I am not distant. I am not silent. I am here, always here. And presence is awakened when you recognize the nearness you once overlooked. The realization moved through my ribs like light sliding through the cracks of an old window, illuminating places inside me that had long lived in shadow. Beloved, carrying my presence is not a task. It is a posture of openness, a posture of listening, a posture of surrender. Presence enters where striving ends. A quiet trembling rose in me, not from fear, but from the sheer tenderness of being reminded of something so simple, so sacred, yet so easily forgotten in the noise of life. You carry me everywhere you go, but now you will walk as one who knows it. The air thickened, warm, dense, holy, like the atmosphere before a downpour of glory. Presence is not an experience you visit, it is a reality you live from. My breath deepened as His nearness wrapped around me like a second skin, like a gentleness I had never allowed myself to fully feel. You feel me now because you are still. You hear me now because you are open. You know me now because you have awakened. And now, beloved, you will begin to move with me. A quiet heat spread through my heart, not sudden, not sharp, but slow, like the steady blooming of a flame that cannot be extinguished. Your steps will no longer be ordinary because my presence will accompany each one. Your words will no longer be empty because my breath will fill them. Your decisions will no longer be fearful because my wisdom will inform them. A subtle shift occurred in the unseen, like wind stirring through the leaves of a forest, like something being aligned on a higher plane. Beloved, carrying my presence means you become a vessel of heaven. A softness wrapped around me. Humility, awe, surrender merging into one liquid realization. Where you go, heaven goes. Where you stand, ground becomes sacred. Where you speak, atmosphere shifts. Not because of your strength, but because of my presence in you. A soft sigh slipped from my spirit, a release of old doubts that insisted I needed to become more, do more, prove more. Presence is not earned. Presence is welcome. The truth settled deep, steady as stone. Beloved, there is a reason I prepared you through awakening and alignment first. Presence rests on a surrendered spirit. Presence flows through an uncluttered heart. I felt old heaviness loosen, disbelief dissolving like morning mist under sunlight. I have emptied you of what the world placed upon you, so I can fill you with what heaven placed within you. My breath stilled. Beloved, you are a carrier of glory. The words were not loud, but they shook something inside me that had remained untouched until now. The inner altar where identity meets destiny, where purpose meets presence, where humanity meets divinity. Glory does not rest on the perfect. Glory rests on the willing. Glory does not descend on the powerful. Glory descends on the surrendered. And you have surrendered. A warm wave passed through my body, gentle but undeniable, like a confirmation is slipping through spirit and flesh, weaving them more tightly together. Beloved, do you sense what is rising in you? It is not emotion, it is impartation, it is overflow, it is me. The words draped over me like a garment woven of light. My presence in you will begin to expand, and it will affect everything around you. The way you speak, the way you perceive, the way you respond, the way you exist. Presence reshapes your entire being. My spirit responded with a deep, reverent breath, the kind that comes from contact with truth that cannot be unlearned. Beloved, this is why the battles were long. This is why the stretching was uncomfortable. This is why the delay was painful. It was not punishment, it was preparation. Preparation for presence. If I had poured glory into an unprepared vessel, it would have cracked. But now you can carry it. A gentle tremor swept through me. Not fear, not doubt. Just the overwhelming awareness that I was being reshaped by something eternal. Beloved, when you carry my presence, you carry peace into chaos. You carry clarity into confusion. You carry healing into brokenness. You carry strength into weakness. Not because you attempt to, but because you exist in me. The revelation softened me, humbled me, elevated me all at once. You are not stepping into influence, you are stepping into impact. Holy impact, eternal impact. Presence creates transformation wherever it goes. And now, you will carry transformation. Not through effort, but through overflow. My presence is the miracle. Your surrender is the vessel. The atmosphere warmed, thick, radiant, like a mantle settling over my shoulders. Beloved, you are not entering a new season. You are entering a new dimension. A dimension where purpose flows, where presence rests, where identity anchors, where destiny breathes. This is glory, this is calling, this is becoming. And this is the life you were created for from the beginning. And as presence settled deeper into me, something shifted. Not around me, not in the room, but in the unseen chamber of my spirit where eternity whispers and destiny breathes. It was as if heaven itself leaned closer, as if a final revelation, a culmination of every silence, every sorrow, every shaping, every hidden season was preparing to pour. Beloved, Nanesho, the voice came soft at first, like dawn spreading across the horizon, gentle but unstoppable. It carried warmth, weight, wonder, and a tenderness that wrapped itself around the fragile parts of me I thought nothing holy could touch. You have been awakened. You have been aligned. You have been refined. You have been filled. But now you must rise. The words did not rush. They descended slowly, reverently, as though each syllable carried the imprint of heaven's own heartbeat. Rise not into pressure, but into purpose. Rise not into striving, but into surrender. Rise not into fear, but into fullness. A quiet tremble moved through my ribs, a holy trembling, not of weakness, but of recognition. Beloved, listen carefully. You are not who you were when this began. You are not the wounded one hiding in the shadows. You are not the hesitant one waiting for permission. You are not the insecure one questioning your worth. You are the one I formed in silence, the one I forged in surrender, the one I refined in hiddenness, the one I awakened in stillness. You are the one I choose, and the one I send. A warmth gathered behind my eyes, rising like a tide about to break. The truth of his words soaked into me, not merely heard, but absorbed. Do you feel it? The old fear loosening, the old shame dissolving, the old doubts quieting. This is transformation. This is resurrection. This is renewal. Beloved, you are walking out of the grave of who you used to be. I exhaled, a long, slow breath, and it felt like releasing years of heaviness I didn't even know I was still carrying. You asked me for breakthrough, but I was building you into the breakthrough. You asked me for open doors, but I was shaping you into the one who could walk through them. You asked me for change, but I was transforming your very nature. My presence has not come to visit you. It has come to remain in you. The atmosphere grew thick again, dense, warm, holy. The kind of presence that makes the world around you fade until only the eternal remains. Beloved, hear me. You do not need to fear what comes next. You do not need to fear failing. You do not need to fear stepping forward. You do not need to fear the unknown. I go before you. I go with you. I go within you. What felt terrifying yesterday will feel natural tomorrow because my presence empowers what your flesh once resisted. The realization hit me with soft force, a heaviness without burden, a weight without pressure, a gravity woven from love. Beloved, this is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning of your becoming. The place where fear once lived, faith will rise. The place where doubt whispered, conviction will roar. The place where insecurity lingered, identity will anchor. You will walk differently now, not because you tried,